Hello Peoria, and welcome to the very first episode of Peoria's youth show, YTV, a youth-centric show dedicated to youth-only issues. I am your host, Jacob Jelenic. Because this is a new show, let me start off by giving you a little background about myself. I am a senior at Sunrise Mountain High School, and moreover, the reason I am here is because I am the Youth Council Liaison to the City Council. In this, I sit on the City Council as an ex officio council member and weigh in on all issues on behalf of the youth of the city. However, this is no easy task, so it is my pleasure to welcome to the studio my partner in crime, Thomas Pryor, the Youth Council Liaison Alternate. Welcome, Thomas. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So just tell me a little bit about yourself, what school you go to, and your involvement in the city.
All right. I'm a senior at Liberty High School this year. I'm very involved in student council, NHS, DECA. I've been on the Youth Advisory Board for about 4 years now, and I started when I was a freshman.
Now, wonderful. What got you interested in the Youth Advisory Board? What kind of sparked your interest?
What really got me interested was just in 8th grade learning about different career opportunities and finding city management. And from there, I interviewed with some local representatives, kind of got my way in there, joined the Youth Advisory Board, interned here at City Hall, and from there, just great opportunities.
So you were on the Youth Advisory Board, you've interned with the City Manager's Office for a little bit, and now you're a Youth Council Liaison. So how would you describe your experience so far being able to sit up on the council dais and weigh in at all the council meetings?
It's been a great opportunity. Been able to see the different sides of every story, the different perspectives from the council members and how they go about making their decisions. You also get to see all the little things that go into operating the city and all the work that they put into it.
Right. And so as Youth Council Liaisons, our number one goal is to make sure that the voice of the community is heard. I think we have close to 23,000 young people that we represent at the council dais. From a youth's perspective, why would you say it's so important to get the young people's voice heard, especially at the highest level of city government?
I think that the youth just, they have a lot of great ideas, they have strong opinions, and they need to know that they are represented and that they do have opportunities to get involved and to get their opinions heard and to get policies changed for the betterment of their lives.
Thomas, as you know, in a recent Youth Advisory Board survey, we found that over 70% of young people that we surveyed, they were high school students, said that they feel like they didn't have a voice in the community. And obviously we both know as council liaisons that that's not true, that Peoria has had the first youth master plan, the first city in Arizona to have youth liaisons. So if you could say something to the people watching at home, how would you say that they can get their voice heard?
My advice to the youth is to come to council meetings, apply for the Youth Advisory Board. We're always accepting applications. Get to know your council members, find out what district you live in, come to the community events, and it's a great start to become involved in your community.
Right, they can come to either the council meetings or they can even come to our Youth Advisory Board meetings. Our agendas are posted online and we meet regularly.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, Thomas, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up next, we have Kevin Naughton, the Teen Supervisor for the City of Peoria, to shed some more light on Peoria's Youth Advisory Board and its functions. Stay tuned.
But it would be safe to keep your distance until the secret that will make you smile. Reliable sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of this dangerous, but it is safe until they are returned.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest in the studio is Kevin Naughton, the Teen Supervisor for the City of Peoria, and believe it or not, we aren't related. Welcome, Kevin. We're glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for having me.
So you play a very important role in the city of Peoria, and specifically with team programs. Give our viewers an idea of what you do and what programs you're involved in.
Well, this Peoria team program consists of a few different aspects. We've got the Peoria Step Out program, which is a summer program run at 3 different sites for ages 6th grade through 9th grade. I'm also in charge of the Youth Advisory Board. I'm the staff liaison for that program as well.
Wonderful. So talking about the Youth Advisory Board, I was recently at an event trying to recruit for the Youth Advisory Board. It was at a future freshman night, and it seemed when I spoke to a lot of parents and even young people, they had no idea what the Youth Advisory Board is or what we did. So if you could, say or give us an abstract about what the Youth Advisory Board is, how would you describe it?
The Youth Advisory Board is made up of 21 members. We've got 7th through 12th graders. We meet once a month at Peoria City Hall. Big part of it is youth civic engagement. We get youth involved, we get their ideas, get their perspective on youth interests in the community.
Wonderful. So I've got a huge list of things here, but what are some opportunities that the Youth Advisory Board gives its members?
We get youth civic engagement. We get the kids involved with city leaders, directors, city managers, council members, as well as travel. We have opportunities to go to National League of Cities conferences throughout the year. We've got 2 trips each year. And then the biggest aspect for me, I think, is the social face-to-face confrontation that these kids get to have with each other. So much of today's society is on Facebook and text messaging, and getting the face-to-face interaction with the kids and the city leaders is very important.
Getting all those involved kids all in one room to talk about policy is probably a big portion of that. So going off of that, a big portion of the Youth Advisory Board is getting youth involved. So I interviewed Thomas earlier, and I asked him, why is it so important to get young people involved? And his answer was more from a youth's perspective, but I'd like to ask you the same question. Why is it so important from a city staffer's point of view to get young people involved?
I think it's important for the city to get the youth perspective on different issues. As far as the youth master plan is concerned, we have one of the main goals is youth civic engagement, and to engage the youth and to have them be a part of the city process or the government process is important to the city.
Right, and so it's definitely important to make sure that as many youth are heard as possible. And I know the Youth Advisory Board, the members can only be on the board until they're seniors in high school, but once they move on, they can't be on the board anymore. So I understand there are going to be some vacancies coming up in the next school year, and the Youth Advisory Board is possibly even looking to expand. How can people that might be watching the show at home get involved with the Youth Advisory Board, or how can they apply?
The first thing you do is fill out an application. Those can be found at the city clerk's office or on the website. One of my suggestions would be for the younger, 6th graders, 5th graders that aren't able to apply at this point, get involved in your city or your school governments, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything that you can take a leadership role in, I believe will prepare you for the Youth Advisory Board.
Right, so there are many opportunities, there are many ways to get involved in the city. So beyond the Youth Advisory Board, are there any other ways young people can get involved, whether it's through sports, recreation, or anything like that?
Well, we do have a youth partner network. It's straight from the Youth Master Plan. It's a way that we can get other youth involved in the city. We meet about every other month, and we take on topics that are part of the Youth Master Plan. In addition, we have some volunteer positions at the Rio Vista Recreation Center. Those are for 14 to 16-year-olds. Those can be applied at the rec center. And also, I'd just suggest to come out to our Youth Advisory Board meetings. Those meetings are open to the public, as well as city council meetings.
All right, Kevin, wonderful. So is there anything else you'd like to add to this interview that you think is important?
Well, I think it's important to note that the City Council has recently given the oversight of the Youth Master Plan to the Youth Advisory Board, which is really important to moving forward with the Youth Master Plan to make sure that that document is overseen and looked at as an important document.
And Peoria was the first city in Arizona to ever adopt a Youth Master Plan, correct?
Yes, it was.
Wonderful. Well, Kevin, we thank you for being in the studio today. Appreciate your time. Before we go on break, I just want to emphasize that any youth interested in the Youth Advisory Board can print an application online at www.peoriaaz.gov, search Youth Advisory Board, or you can get an application through the City Clerk's office. Up next, we have Lieutenant Bruce Walls of the Peoria Police Department to explain how the police department is doing its part to engage youth in the community.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
We are back in the studio with Lieutenant Bruce Walls of the Peoria Police Department, and from what I've been told, he's not here to arrest me. Is that correct?
That is
correct.
correct.
Oh, wonderful.
Jacob.
That's good news. So let's just get started. A few council meetings back, the chief was presenting to council, and he was mentioning several programs that the police department is using to engage youth in the community, and one of them that really stuck out to me was the badge program. So if you could, just tell us a little bit about the badge program and how you're involved.
Sure. The badge program, Jacob, stands for Building Accountability Through Development, Guidance, and Education. And what it basically is, it's an at-risk youth program. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to go in and help those youth that are making inappropriate decisions and turn them around so that they're making good decisions. And those good decisions hopefully will lead them to a more productive lifestyle and success in whatever career they're trying to go and pursue.
Oh, wonderful. How did this program come about, and was there any inspiration?
Well, as you know, and you mentioned earlier, that Chief Roy Mentor talked to you about several of our youth programs. Mm-hmm. Well, we went to go back and we looked at all our youth programs, and we found that we weren't hitting a segment of the population that we wanted to go and hit. And that was, again, our at-risk youth. Those kids that may have been involved in some activity that, again, would not lead them towards success. So with that, we found this population, and we decided to go ahead and create this program that's called BADGE. And again, BADGE, which stands for Building Accountability Through Development, Guidance, and Education, is a program designed to where we're going to go and help these at-risk youth make more appropriate decisions so that they can go be successful in whatever their desires are.
Wonderful. So explain to me how, what the police officer's role in the badge program is, and how often do they meet with the students, and what is their role with the students?
And I'm glad that you asked that, because one of the essential pieces to the badge program is we assign each kid a mentor. And we want those kids to role model after those mentors, because those mentors are going to go ahead and be successful people. So we require our mentors to go ahead and meet with those kids once each month, whether or not that's taking them out to lunch, whether or not they go on their school grounds and have lunch with them so that they can go ahead and figure out what's going on in their lives. And then we require them to go ahead and have at least 3 telephone calls with them during the week. What we like to go ahead and see, Jacob, is a relationship that's built between the mentor and the child that we have in the program. And what we're hoping is as that relationship builds, those one time a month meeting, those 3 times a week telephone calls will change into an everyday thing, because now the student or the kid that we have in the program and our mentor has developed a relationship, and it's a caring relationship. And between both of those, we want to move towards success. And we think that if that happens, the mentor and the child will both want to go ahead and have that cross activity with each other.
So there's almost a constant communication. The police officers, there's always a presence, a good presence, a positive role model.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Are there any other programs the police department uses or utilizes that you'd like to talk about on the show today?
Absolutely. We have what's called YCPA. It's the Youth Citizens Police Academy. That's a program that's designated for kids in the 7th to 8th grade, and we take them through a policing experience, a week-long policing experience. What's beautiful about this year is we changed the program around a little bit. We went through some of the surveys that we've given to the kids, and the kids said, you know what? We don't want to be in classroom all day. So what we've done is we've gone back in and we've created some field trips this go around. And I have an outstanding officer that's in charge of that program, Officer Lisa Hale, and we're excited about this program, and it's going to start in June. Wow,
that's great news. Do you have any particular success stories that have come from the badge program?
Absolutely. I have one of my kids was severely wrapped up in bullying other kids. And the first day of our program, after he had an experience of the first day of our program, he came back to me and he said, you know what? This isn't for me. I know that I can go ahead and do better than this, and I'm going to strive to go ahead and do better. And as we've gone on, this particular young man has been in our program about 6 months. His grades have increased. and his suspensions have basically stopped. We also had another young man that part of our experience is we take these kids to certain locations. And at this one location we took one of the kids to, they got a free meal. What this kid did, we happened to be in downtown Phoenix, and what this kid did with his meal from the experience is he took his meal and he found a homeless person and he gave it to him.
Wow,
now that
that's
to us,
outstanding.
absolutely, that was significant for us because these kids are basically into themselves. And then to turn around after one day and hand a meal off to a homeless person, I think that talks about where we're trying to go ahead and go with the badge program.
That is a wonderful example. Not only are you helping them change their lives around, but promoting citizenship. That's just terrific.
Absolutely. I failed to go ahead and mention in our badge program, that's part of our component. We want to go ahead and make sure that these kids give back. So during the course of a month, they'll have to go ahead and do a community event. They'll be with us for some police education. We'll also have some mentorship opportunities where we're doing some team building. So it's a constant program where these kids are actually wrapped up in some engagement throughout the month.
Wow, that's just it's so wonderful to hear that the police department is reaching out to young people like this, and that there's actually success stories coming from it. So how do you reach out to these young people? How do you get them on your list to reach out to them?
Well, we have, of course, the SROs at our high schools, so they're in tune to know some of the students that are wrapped up in some problems that they need some help with. So I gather information from there, but you also have to know part of Chief Mentor's philosophy is that we community engage. So a lot of the information that I get are from some of our community partners, which come back in and they ask, this person right here would be a great person to go ahead and get into the badge program. For instance, we partner with the Juvenile Probation Department. So we get a lot of referrals in from those particular agencies. We're not going to go ahead and turn anybody down, Jacob. If somebody comes to us and says that they want some help with this kid in the badge program, YCPA, art program, whatever program we have going on would be a fit for these kids, we're going to get them in.
Wonderful. So if the parents, if there are any parents watching that think that their student could benefit from being in the badge program, how would they go about contacting the police department?
Well, they can absolutely go to us on our website. Our website is www.peoriaz.gov/police, or they can go and contact us at 623-773-5046. And they can go ahead and leave a message, and I guarantee you one of my staff will go ahead and get back to them immediately.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for having you on the show today. Appreciate your commentary.
I appreciate it.
Coming up next, we have a recap of Peoria's very first Youth Partner Network meeting, an update on the activities of the Youth Advisory Board, and an interview with one of Peoria's Spelling Bee champions.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now.
No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite,
Unearth hidden passion.
come on, we'll have a good time.
Planting seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic.
Change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall.
And make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life.
People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
So Abel, I understand that you recently undertook a major accomplishment. You won the district spelling bee for the city of Peoria. Tell me a little bit about what it felt like to win.
Well, towards when there were only 7 people left, I kind of felt all right because I know that if I didn't win, I'll still go to the regionals, and that's all that matters because I just want to get to the nationals, because I really want to, do good. So I felt really happy when I won because it's not something that I expected, and I didn't really care if I won or not. As long as I just go to the regionals. So.
Right. But it feels good to win, though, right?
Yeah, it really does.
Wonderful. What was your winning word?
It was geranium.
Geranium, wow. From someone who can't spell, I don't think I could spell that very well, so wonderful for you. So Tell me a little bit about yourself, what school you go to, and I know you're involved in a lot of things. Give us an example of some of the other things you're involved in.
I go to Marshall Ranch Elementary, and I'm involved in FBLA and NJHS, yeah. So I'm the treasurer and secretary for the NJHS club, and I believe we're going to do like a rotation for the treasurer, I think historian person for FBLA as well. So
how do you practice for a spelling bee?
well, every day I sit down and I have this website. I just browse through the internet and find certain websites that contain a lot of spelling bee words or just words itself, and then I just go over them and like say them out loud and try to spell them out. And then me and my sister sit together and she like quizzes me over the words. And then usually the days before the spelling bee happens, my parents, usually my mom, comes and helps me do like the final testing kind of thing.
Oh, wonderful. So it sounds like the whole family's involved in making sure that everyone knows how to spell, right? Wonderful. So I guess the next question is, if you had any advice for students at home that might be interested in getting involved in the spelling bee, you know, what advice or what characteristics do you have that you think other students could benefit from?
One of the main things that helped me a lot is to try to be more like involved in certain things like reading, and this may seem weird, but also play a lot of video games, because the first word that I got after the practice round was a word called repelled, and for a moment I got confused, but then I remembered I played this video game which had the word in it, so I knew like how to spell it. So do anything. When you're studying for the spelling bee, it's not really, you don't need to limit yourself to like just sitting there in front of the computer screen and memorize a whole bunch of words. You can read and like study or just do random things. So almost everything can give you certain words, and then also have a good discipline at home, because my parents always enforce that I watch a certain limit of TV or a certain limit of video games, usually towards Saturday and Sunday. Whereas the weekdays, I usually spend my time studying. So instead of wasting your time for something that's not really going to benefit you in the future, try to do something more productive, like maybe if you want to be in the spelling bee, study for the spelling words. Yeah.
So Abel, going forward, what is the next step in the competition for you?
I'm going to go to the regional spelling bee, which is on Saturday.
Okay, so coming up pretty soon. You ready?
Yeah.
Well, Abel, we wish you the best of luck in the future spelling bee, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be back right after this.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Recently, Peoria held the very first Youth Partner Network meeting on January 23rd at Rio Vista Recreation Center. The meeting and development of the Youth Partner Network comes from Peoria's Youth Master Plan, which was approved by Mayor and Council in 2012. A major component of the Youth Master Plan called for the creation of the Youth Partner Network, which will serve as an opportunity to engage, inspire, and synergize youth-centric organizations and citizens in our community. The topics for each meeting are pulled directly from the Youth Master Plan's 6 strategic goals, with January's meeting covering the topic of education and life preparation. In this, several school, community, and business leaders all met for a lunch and learn session. The next meeting will be on April 2nd, and the topic will be safety. If you are interested, please contact Kevin Naughton for more information. Students, are you interested in learning more about city government, meeting with local officials, or discussing policy? If so, Peoria's Youth Advisory Board is hosting their annual Youth Government Day on April 24th. Youth Government Day allows students who live in Peoria the opportunity to learn more about the inner workings of a city and all that goes on behind the scenes to make sure that the city offers the highest quality of life to its citizens. New to this year's Youth Government Day is a Youth Town Hall, where students will have the opportunity to act as legislators to create policy based on issues presented to them. Stay tuned in for more details as the date gets closer. If you have any questions or would like to attend, contact Kevin Naughton, the teen supervisor at kevin.naughton@peoriaaz.gov. Beyond local government, the city will be sending 6 youth advisory board members and 1 other youth from Peoria to Washington, D.C. for the Congressional League of Cities Conference. While they may be too young to run for Congress now, it is expected that many of them will return to D.C. as future leaders. Well, we thank you for tuning in to YTV's very first show. We hope that you've enjoyed it. I'm Jacob Jelanic, reminding you to keep connected, and thank you for watching.